afternoon. Please welcome Colonel Max Yates to the stage.
Aloha, I'm Colonel Max Yates, and I'm the Senior Program Director and Chief of AFRL's Space Electro-Optics Division, which includes the Starfire Optical Range in New Mexico as well as the AMOS site in Maui. It is my privilege to introduce Colonel Richard Beckman and Mr. Enrico Jeantete, who will be delivering a feature presentation on SDA support to next-generation space mobility and logistics. Colonel Beckman, call sign Doogie, is the commander of the Phillips Research Site and director of the Air Force Research Laboratory Space Vehicles Directorate at Kirtland Air Force Base. Colonel Beckman was commissioned through ROTC at Tulane University and holds a doctorate in electrical engineering from Tulane. Throughout his career, he has led programs spanning research, acquisition, and operations for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance systems, with extensive experience in space systems development and nuclear treaty monitoring. Prior to assuming command in his current role, he served as a senior materiel leader and chief of the Integrated Experiments and Evaluations Division at AFRL, where he oversaw the Navigation Technology Satellite 3, or NTS-3, that launched just this last month. Prior to AFRL, he served as the vice commander of the Air Force Technical Applications Center, AFTAC, at Patrick Space Force Base, and has led across the interagency from prior positions at the NRO and the Joint Staff. Mr. Enrico Jeantete is the Deputy Director for Space System Command's Innovation and Prototyping Acquisition Delta, based out of Kirtland Air Force Base. Mr. Jeantete holds a bachelor and master's degree in business administration from the University of New Mexico and College of Santa Fe, respectively. In his current position, he leads test and experimentation prototyping, demonstrations and operations of innovative space systems and technology for Space Systems Command. The Delta also executes the Space Test Program on behalf of the Department of War. Prior to his current position, Mr. Jeantete served as the Chief Financial Officer for the Innovation and Prototyping Delta. Before entering public service, Mr. Jeantete was the lead community relations manager for the American Cancer Society, a nonprofit organization combating cancer through advocacy, research, and patient support. Please join me in welcoming Colonel Beckman and Mr. Jeantete to the stage.
So I'll start by saying aloha. So I want to say thank you to the people of Maui for hosting AFRL here on Maui at the AMOS site under full AFRL direction since 1984, so the last 41 years here and counting, and that partnership that we have and continues to grow, sharing your culture, your heritage, and your support with us as we continue to defend the nation through the space domain awareness, and everything we need goes into that to make sure that we know what's going on and can attribute in the space domain. With that, I'll go to the next chart. Let's see, how do we get to charts? Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'll start with talking about AFRL, and then I'll hand it off to Enrico to talk a little bit about SSC here and our SSC partnership. The real message here is we are unified at Kirtland. We have everything on one site as we work with research, to acquisitions, to operations, and we work it all together. But from the AFRL perspective, what we are after is to win the future again and again and again. It's not good enough to win in 2027. I have to win in 2027. I have to win in 2030. I have to win in 2032. I have to win in 2035, et cetera, et cetera. And we cannot do this without the help of our industry partners and the commercial industry as we move forward. We have to change the game. Doing this all from a military perspective is no longer going to be acceptable, because if we do it the old way, we will never bring the future fast enough. We will never put enough cost on our adversaries to deter aggression, and we'll never get the ability to win together again. So we have got to continue to push on how do we win and work together as one team, one fight. As General Saltzman said yesterday, how do we work guardians and industry together, shoulder to shoulder, working very closely in that very tight integration loop to deliver the capabilities that our nation and our warfighters need. Enrico, I'll turn it over to you for talking about SSC.
Thank you, Colonel Beckman. Aloha, thank you everybody. Again, Enrico Jeantete, Innovation and Prototyping Delta. I prepared a bunch of notes talking about Anti-Deficiency Act and all the financial stuff, but I don't think this is the right place to do that, so I apologize. So I'm gonna go ahead and pivot really quick and to talk about a little bit about what we do. So many of you know that the Innovation and Prototyping Delta is changing right now. We're gonna go into what's called the Rapid Reaction Delta, and what that is that's a culmination of Space Safari, which you may know, and also the Rapid Reaction branch out of Colorado. So bringing all of those unique capabilities into one organization is gonna allow us to present forces for the combat commander, for Spock, a lot more diligently. For all our friends out there, we're not going to change our partnerships. We're going to still be able to collaborate with you in the commercial industry. So our prototyping aspect has changed just a little bit. So we go from prototyping to mature technologies to prototyping for operational forces. So that's one of the big things. The other thing too is our mission, vision, and our priorities. They're only going to pivot a little bit more. We're going to be really focusing on making sure that we deliver for the warfighter. And one of the last things I want to talk about too is we're also going to be able to help train future Guardians in the space domain and awareness by utilizing different TTPs, different vehicles, ventures, partnerships. But the big thing is that we're going to still rely on the commercial sector to help us, move the mission forward. Colonel Beckman.
So how do we solve the problem together? As I talked earlier, AFRL is very much focused on teamwork, winning together. How do we solve it as one team, one fight? So what we have here, kind of looking at this problem, I look at it from evaluating. What are the roles that are best suited for each type of organization? So we'll start with the most mature. Those that are available, that we have data products. I want to buy that as a service from commercial. I don't want to be operating, I don't want to have Guardians running that. I've got too many missions and not enough Guardians. So what can I do to get after it to buy that capability? Because as we've seen multiple times through this conference, the threat and the trade space and the space that we have to surveil, the number of objects we have to surveil, the number of satellites being launched to new regimes even, continues to evolve. So what can I do to monitor that? Where can I leverage the industry innovation, the industry scale, our international partners, to get after this mission set so that we can maintain that 24/7 watch that is necessary, so that we can maintain the space domain awareness that is necessary for us and all of our nations to accomplish their needs in space. When I get into it, I want to seed, I want to accelerate. What can I do when I find new domains? And I'll talk about one in a little bit when I talk about cislunar. What do we do to accelerate new entrants? How do I put the right seed money into it to bring new industries, bring new partners into the fight, put more sensors there, more sources, more providers? That increases our threat space, increases our attack surface. It makes it so that they have to take out more systems, and our adversaries have to win again and again and again before they can take any of our capabilities offline, rather than win once and then we're offline. So that's when we want to work there from a seed perspective. We also want to get into a partnership. Where can I go GoCo? Where can I do government-owned contractor operated? So there's mission sets there as the risk continues to increase here, where we'll build the satellites, but I want industry to do what industry does best. You've built these satellites, you've built the ground, you've built the sensors, you understand how to operate them, how to command and control them, to a level which I can train Guardians to, but do I need to train Guardians to that level? So when I look at what I am doing as the lab at Kirtland there, when I have cradle to grave and I have operations and Guardians doing everything, I only want my Guardians doing that which the Guardians must. And where I can leverage off of commercial and leverage off of commercial, I will. I'll continue that partnership. That extends to our international partners as well. Looking at what can I do, working with our other nations and our allies, to what satellites and systems can they bring? We've heard about QZSS multiple times this week already as a classic example of where we've partnered internationally to operate those systems, provide that data into the space domain awareness fight. The reason I want to do all of this, especially from an R&D sense, is so I can focus. I have challenges in space domain awareness. That area where it is high risk, where we have not yet expanded the envelope. We don't know yet how to operate, navigate, and communicate in those domains. We don't yet know how to do the level of precisions necessary for some of the kill chains and other things we need to get after. So I want to focus my Guardians on that and really, really push what I can do from a government side to operating on that one. and those problem sets and work after that. So I really want to focus my efforts on there and partner for the rest. And we're here to partner with you, and I want to continue to encourage you to reach out to us if you have ideas here as we move forward. So when I look at how do I do this, it's kind of an example on this where we have pushed it forward, and I'm going to push out on the JCO here. Where can the government maneuver the data space? So I look at the UDL. We've talked about that quite a bit here this week already. We've talked about Dragon Army and all the countries contributing there. But what are we really, truly doing in joint commercial operations? What we're doing is we're setting the standard. We're setting what the marketplace is. We're saying what the priorities are as the government. And we're letting you figure out how to get after it. And that has worked tremendously well. Look at the Dragon Army and through the Dragon Army construct, through RVSX, which my division does, one of my divisions does, has developed the UDL. We've tracked it on that perspective. We continue 24/7 operations. We watch it. We hand it off around the world to international partners as we work is going around, so everybody's working during their days and letting the other side watch it while we're resting and taking our sleep. And it's not just dot tracking anymore. I really want to focus on this. The capabilities that you have fielded as commercial industry are tremendous. I'll give an example here when we talk about it here on, when we talked about SJ21, SJ25, and what the Chinese did with that, where they came together, they merged and did docking operations. We've heard here how commercial tracked that all the way through into the merge and what they were doing, and was while looking at that, without government's exquisite sensor help. So you've demonstrated the capability to do that. One of the things that you'll hear about in a little bit here, we're talking about is going to on-orbit refueling, on-orbit servicing. Well, that requires the space domain awareness in order to make that happen. But we've demonstrated already that we can buy that as a service from commercial and make that happen in that domain. So I want to encourage you to continue to move in that direction as we look at it, because we were able to come on the cross-tracking, and you guys are even able, as I said, tracking RPO, we're good there. There you go. Sorry about that. But what does that do? So that lets us track to RPO and docking activity. The whole reason for this is to allow us to get after new missions as the government side. So I can take my R&D focus and push it on new missions. And so what you'll see here is we'll move into Oracle. I'm going to talk cislunar here for a little while. So what do we're partnered with NASA on Rolling Stone, Capstone, as a cooperative target in the cislunar domain. It's enabling us to refine our tactics, techniques, procedures, our methods, our sensors. But the correlated to that is we're willing to share that same data with all of industry. So you can bring your sensors, your capabilities to the fight. Bring it and test it, and we'll provide that ground truth for you to see how well you did what you were doing. So please, I encourage you to reach out to us to continue that, and so we continue to get insight into cislunar. We at AFRL are going to have 2 missions getting ready to do SDA in the cislunar domain. Oracle Mobility. The primary focus here is on how do I operate, navigate, and communicate. For those with a flight test background, when we talk about aircraft, we always envelope expansion first, go through envelope expansion. That's what we're doing here. We're expanding the envelope for operations into the cislunar space. It will track known objects. It's got an SDA custody sensor on it. It's co-funded. As you'll find, there's lots of partnerships there, as we talked about. There's a reason this is a joint brief that we talk about from how we get to co-fund from that perspective. And it's manifested to launch in 2026. It's going to have about 4 kilometers of Delta V. It'll go out there and maneuver and communicate. Follow on to that. Okay, after we figure that out, we're going to launch and build our purpose-built SDA search sensor to put in the cislunar space, with really looking at search and track. How do I do onboard processing? How do I do the necessary communication? What needs to come down? What rate does it need to come down on? How do I get that effectiveness down so I can figure and work on that? It's going to be our first DoD-operated cislunar satellite. We're looking in 2027. And on both of these missions, we're going to put that data into the UDL, as we talked about earlier. But what I want to really highlight, and what I really want to foot stomp here, is what does this mean to you as industry? And so I look for the emerging opportunities, what I'm calling Oracle Commercial. It's not really a program necessarily, but it is, what can we do to leverage what you are doing, to leverage sensors that are already going to cislunar space? How can I play matchmaker? How can I help you find the right partnerships? If you have a sensor with someone that has a vehicle going to cislunar, how do I make that partnership happen? How do I increase the bench of high TRL sensors? What can I do? I'm interested in hearing from you guys as you get into that, as we get after that mission space. To grow that bench so that I can then operate it, so that I can get so that cislunar becomes domain like LEO, like GEO, that we are having today, where a lot of this is monitored by commercial, and we can buy that as a service. So that I can continue to keep my Guardians laser focused on the threat and those missions that must be done at the levels must be done by government. So I want to really emphasize that, because when you'll see our next mission, and I'll turn over to Enrico here in a second, you're going to see why we need to be able to buy that from commercial, and we want to leverage commercial to get after that so that we can get at some of those military-specific missions and then focus our efforts on those while we rely on commercial to support the basic underlying infrastructure as we get into that. With that, Enrico, I'll turn it over to you here. Green plus, the green arrow. Green arrow.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, a little bit technical difficulties. But continuing on that commercial theme and partnership, the Space Force really needs your help to help develop this on-orbit refueling ecosystem. We all know that the business case and the technical baseline is unsettled right now. So we need your all help. So what we're doing is we're partnering currently with AFRL on the Tetra 5 Tracker Prime mission to go ahead and start that so we can have the ability to go and do this TTPs down in the future. What we're trying to do right now is making sure that the military has a capability for the on-orbit refueling through the Tetra 5 and the Tracker Prime mission. The biggest thing that we want to get out of this is we want to be able to maneuver without regret and capabilities. Another thing we want to do is want to make sure that Tetra Prime and Tetra 5 and Tracker Prime give our Guardians the ability to train in a live environment through docking, through refueling, through transfer of liquid in a live environment. So that's where we're moving forward to. Continuing on this too, we have the pathways to get there. So Rooster 4 and Rooster 5, they're both ESPA-STAR D-class Northrop Grumman buses from the lineage that we've done past through the LDP missions. We're moving forward and continuing this evolution of excellence with them. On the Rooster 4, it's a program that we currently have SDA missions on. There's specifically 3 cameras on the Rooster 4 mission, along with 1 laser range on it as well. One of the things that we're focusing this on is making sure that we have the ability to continue to move forward on the program in a prototyping sense, that we present operational forces to the combat commander. On the US 43 mission, we'll have Rooster 4. We'll also have Tetra 5 and Tracker Prime on it as well. As we move forward to the Rooster 5 portfolio, we actually need the ability to refuel. So right now, Rooster 5 is being manifested, and one of the things that I do know that's on the Rooster 5 mission right now is 2 gas tanks. So we're able to continue to test our TTPs by having refueling activities for the Tetra 5 and Tracker Prime portfolio. So one of the things that we do for innovation, as you may or may not know, is we stand up not only mission sets, but we also stand up ideas and programs. SSC, specifically SCI, stood up the front door to space, which is a conduit for commercial industry to get to the SSC ecosystem. We also have SpaceWorks. So what SSC front door currently is, it's under the COMSO office. It's your ability to go into the organization, SSC, and be shepherded into the organization and be allowed to get into that ecosystem. And there's different ways by doing this. You can go through the SpaceWorks or Spec OTA. Specifically, Spec OTA is other transactional authority that allows you to go in. And there's different venues and vignettes. So if you want to understand more of how, as a commercial industry, to get into that, please contact myself so we can go help you shepherd into that piece.
So, and also I love that here from an AFRL side on SpaceWorks. You heard about SpaceWorks. That's an AFRL program. The email address is here on how you want to reach us there, but we want to partner there. We want to look at collaborative R&D. We want to look at what can we do for licensing the technology. How do I transition that which we've already developed in the lab out to the commercial industry so you can leverage what we've already learned? How do we continue to maintain our educational partnerships? How do we develop the workforce? How do I make sure that I have the workforce I need here on Maui, and how I have the workforce I need elsewhere in the United States to get after this SDA mission moving forward? You know, what do I need to do with small businesses, with SBIRs, with venture matching, how do I help that out? How do I help set those demand signals? How do I do the rapid acquisitions and get things moving and get the challenges done and solved? We don't have all the answers. I'm going to be the first to tell you. I've got lots of smart people working for me, but we don't have all the answers. Together we are stronger. Together we are faster. Together we will win. And that's what we need to really do. So with that, I'll pause here to take any questions you may have. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, speakers. We will open up the floor for questions.
Thank you both for a very interesting talk. I really appreciate the emphasis on collaboration between the government and industry, and I'm curious to hear a little bit more about where you see sort of the responsibilities, capabilities, and services, both now and into the future, being separated between government and industry.
So I'll say from my perspective, I welcome all innovative and non-traditional partnerships to ideas of how we work on that. So I would say there's nothing out of limits. It's going to be where's the business cases, where can we make that happen? Again, as I said, I've got more missions than I have guardians. So everything I can transfer to commercial and I can do and execute through that vein, I'm going to. I want to make sure that we maintain responsible use of the space domain. We've got to make sure we get after that. So I need commercial partners to make sure we have that happen as well. Enrico, is there anything you wish to add to that? Or?
As long as you have anything that's operational from a commercial, standpoint, please utilize, the Spaceworks Spec OTA to come in, so that way we can go ahead and utilize that in our new RRD construct.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you spoke about the need for commercial to develop SDA capabilities in order for AFRL and Space Systems Command to focus on niche technology development to support the warfighter. Is there a way for commercial capabilities to be played with or against these flight experiments and or validated in relevant scenarios?
Yeah, actually, I can talk a little bit about this. We have one program called Scarlet Star, which is a program with one of the Tetra missions that we utilized for STARCOM to train TTPs for Guardians. So what the Guardians were able to do is actually get on council and utilize the space domain aware sensors to actually train live in the environment that they'll be operating in. Very successful program. There's a lot going into that. We're continually looking for that type of partnership throughout the duration, of the programs that we have currently in SSC moving forward under our SEI portfolio. And then when we go into the new RRD construct, I can only imagine that we're going to continue strengthening those partnerships moving out.
Okay, from online, from Jessica Brugman, where do you see academia fitting into solving the problem?
So from an academia perspective, I see academia help. It's integral to have academia help solve those problems. That's where the true innovation is. That's where the basic research is. That's where the basic ideas come from. The kernels of innovation come out of that academic environment. We're very much partnered with the academic environment. We're very much looking at how do we continue to partner that through collaborative arrangements, through grants, through contracts directly with the schools, and to work it. I can think of, well, off the top of my head, I can think of like 17 universities that I'm working with day in and day out right now on that to solve these problems in an academic environment. So I definitely see academia continuing to play a role. It has played a role. Look at where some of the telescopes are hosted. A lot of those are academic-based telescopes that we use together and really provide that innovative look at how do we do things new and in a faster manner so that we can, as I said, win together, win faster, that we need to do as our adversaries demanding that we do.
Okay, thank you for that. Also online, Jerome Hernandez asks, have you considered adding SDA capabilities to the Tetra system, like event-based cameras, so that it can contribute between refueling activities?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of talk and a lot of concept development on what we're looking for on the Tetra line of vehicles. Currently, right now, we have the first class, that we had POM for. So a lot of that might be going into the next generation of these vehicles as we move down. We're in conversation with STARCOM as the primary user, as the downrange assets to hopefully utilize those. But yeah, there'll be definitely a lot of utility by having some of these sensors on some of these vehicles as we move down.
Have time for maybe 2 more questions. Got one more online from Stephen Clark. How do Tetra 5 and Prime Tracker and Rooster 5 fit with Space Systems Command's contract with Astroscale for a refueling demonstration? When will they launch?
It's a good question. Good question. Stump me on that one. So 2026 is when Tetra 5 and Tracker Prime is actually going to launch. Knock on wood. Hopefully everything moves forward. But I'm not, specifically sure on the contract vehicle that was moving on that. So I'll have to take that as this, hopefully an action later on. So I'll get with our team here to get that answer out to the community.
Okay, no more questions in the room. One last one here showing up. What is the impact of increased scrutiny on government efficiency on the SDA enterprise?
So as I'll say, we always want to be responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars, especially on problems as wide-ranging as SDA. Budget realities are going to continue to force us to use traditional and non-traditional partners, as I've talked about here, to keep going after there, especially as we continue to leverage and contribute, use the contribution to leverage that to get after the problem set so that we can do it cheaper, faster, better. And that's the only way it will happen is if by partnering together and working together. So I welcome the scrutiny.
Yeah, I would foot stomp as well. Commercial industry right now, partners, we need your help. We need your help to go after the fight so that way we can focus our resources on, niche military aspects that we're looking at. So please continue to innovate. Please continue to do what you do because you're the biggest part of this, warfighter ecosystem that we need. So thank you.
Okay, we appreciate your comments this afternoon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.